This is the Ruckus and The Menace Sports Podcast.
Oh no! We suck again!
I'm getting confused. What game are you calling?
I'm calling both games.
It is caught by Kelsey! Touchdown! Kansas City!
I need 3 of those things, baby. We ain't done yet. We ain't done yet. You like that? You like that? I like that.
How's it going, Ruckus and The Menace Sports fam? You are watching another episode of the Ruckus and The Menace Sports Podcast. I'm Spence the Menace.
And I am Ruckus, always causing a ruckus, never not causing a ruckus.
And our good old buddy, Wally Holland, is going to... Or no, Harry Doyle, not Wally Holland. Harry Doyle is going to say that it's just a bit outside as we go through the transaction log mentioning the late Bob Uecker.
Rest in peace.
The good, the bad, and the ugly, our Eastwood segment. Recapping the divisional weekend in the NFL and questioning the eliminated. And getting to our predictions of the film room. And last but not least, our stud and dud of the week. And in mentioning, of course, the late Bob Uecker. He passed away earlier this week at 90 years old. More so famous for being in the Milwaukee area. But was a catcher briefly for his playing career after serving in the Army. But then really more so made his name for being a broadcaster, especially with the Milwaukee Brewers. And also did some announcement for WWE with WrestleMania 3. Being the ring announcer for Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant. And then of course, doing the whole Harry Doyle from Major League, which was his most famous
Iconic
thing.
role.
Yeah. And then he also did a voice parody of himself in Monsters at Work more recently with Bob Uecker.
My favorite
man.
quote the whole movie, my favorite quote from Bob Uecker in Major League was, just a bit outside there,
Yep, his
Mr.
popular-
Ricky Vaughn.
Yeah, it actually was his popular sports catchphrase of just a bit outside.
Also opens up a bottle of Jack and then starts profusely drinking it.
Yeah, but man, Bob Uecker was definitely Mr. Baseball for side. He even hosted an SNL, had about 100 guest appearances on Johnny Carson's Tonight Show. So Uecker was really cool. Uecker sounds like a really cool guy. You really come to think of it, mostly when it comes to baseball, and he definitely will be missed. I mean, you're not going to be seeing Macklemore rap about him in more so in the reference of Dave Niehaus, but just when you think of saying the words just a bit outside, none other than Bob Uecker will come to mind. You got to say it like him, or else it doesn't make any sense.
I also loved his mojo when it came to the clubhouse of the Brewers. Whenever they went to the playoffs, whether it was a wild card win or a celebration of going to the Division Series, Champion Series, World Series, you name it, Bob Uecker was in that clubhouse getting shwasted with those players. That's for darn sure. And he lived life to the fullest. If if I had to say so myself, if I was an announcer for the Brewers, I'd probably do the same thing.
Of course, granted that you're mostly dealing with beer and Millers.
Yeah, and and it just so happens to be my favorite light beer. Miller Lite, please sponsor us. Just kidding.
Yeah. But with all that aside, we can move to the good, the bad, and the ugly for sports this week.
All right, I'll roll a tumbleweed here in a second. There's your tumbleweed. Good old yummy tumbleweed. All right.
You gotta roll that thing. You gotta roll that thing a little better. I mean, it's got to be more like Belmo with two hands. Nah, but just in theory. The good in sports this week.
So, the good in sports this week, I put the idea out there of the new late show hosted on Friday nights by ESPN with Jason Kelsey and his lovely wife Kylie Kelsey. So if you guys haven't heard of the show yet, it's actually only 3 episodes in, and it's about an hour long. They're free on YouTube if you want to go to ESPN's YouTube page. I think it's definitely a step in the right direction when it comes to the creativeness and just the flow of just in the moment ideas rather than relying mostly on writing and like trying to get a script out there. Like, I'm sure there was a lot of script writing for the show, but they hide it so well to where it doesn't feel bland. It just feels free. It feels like you can say whatever.
You kind of could also throw the same thing out there with whenever Omaha Productions was doing Peyton's Places. I mean, the Peyton's Places series lasted for a good while, and Peyton's Places, you still feel like you had the freedom inside of it, but Peyton Manning was more so known for kind of keeping a little more of that cleaner image. Kelsey's just, he's the right person for this because I think he's got a late night approach to his personality.
Yeah. I think it's better than Saturday Night Live's current state. And the engagement they get during the breaks too, like whenever they're moving sets, Kelsey will just let people fire away questions in the audience, and it just feels more engaging. It feels more like him. It's not trying to adhere really to as much as the censorship is or how companies want to sway different things with the media and whatnot. I think his show is definitely a lot more real, and it just brings out more charisma. Kind of like what Pat McAfee does on ESPN, where they have like they have more freedom when it comes to how they talk on the show and behave, and it's evident when you see that with the late night show. But yeah, I just want to say, so far so good. They're killing it. Spence, do you have anything else to add to that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the Safe Harbor TV rules, I mean, because for most part, the language is not necessarily the most decent. At the same time, it's like you're from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. for public broadcasting stations that go off the air at or before midnight. Like, you can play, like, there's stuff for that basically and that there, but it's like, oh, ESPN's a 24-hour thing, so yeah, you're gonna have that harbor for some of that. They do a good job of airing that along the way, and there's more to this later that we'll mention that. Oh my goodness, like, the show is a complete trip. It's definitely Jason Kelsey's and the family in a nutshell. And kind of you always knew that Jason Kelsey was that very, very charismatic personality. Trav's got it too, but Jason is more of the highly relatable, funny charisma.
He's like the older cousin or brother or uncle that you never had. That was very funny and charismatic.
Yeah, he's the Funkle. But
What's the bad this week?
The bad this week, it's more sad than anything else because a lot of people in the NBA community really want to see Ja Morant succeed, and he aggravated an injury to his foot, resulting in his 18th game missed, putting eligibility for NBA awards on the shelf for the season. As you have to play at least 65 games in order to be considered for an NBA award. And Ja Morant will be at least one game short. But the downright ugly is showing more of the dark side of NIL and the revenue sharing that comes along with it, as college athletics is preparing for it at Indiana University as they fired 25 athletic department personnel 1 month after the Hoosier football program made it to the first round of the college football playoff, losing to Notre Dame.
They were sleeping with the fishes over there, I hear.
I hope the severance package was at least an offer you can't refuse.
Oh, that TV, it fell off the truck. Was that a Christopher quote from The Sopranos, by the way, that you just pulled?
Wasn't even The Sopranos. If I'm gonna make him an offer you can't refuse.
I feel stupid asking what movie this is. Isn't it like Goodfellas or something?
Oh no, not Goodfellas. The Godfather.
Oh yeah, yep.
Give an offer he can't refuse. I was playing off of Marlon Brando line. Come on, man. The one you think is Pat Riley.
In a sense, yeah. Marlon, except for Pat Riley doesn't have a jacked up chin like the American Dad father, but that's besides the point. Do you want to go to the high heat now?
Yes, before we get whacked by the mob. But yes.
All right. My bad. All right, let's get into the divisional weekend recap for the NFL playoffs. As you got the Chiefs.
Playoffs? You're talking about playoffs?
Yes, Toots. I'm talking about the playoffs. The Chiefs 23, the Texans 14. Is Patrick Mahomes slide? Wait.
We can kind of cut the voice here at this point, capiche?
Oh, I'm just getting started, sweetheart. Okay, I'm done.
Why do I think you sounded like, oh, what was it from? I can't remember, but there's like this particular character from something that I think you were sounding like.
I feel like I was going for a Ray Liotta, like a young Ray Liotta.
No, but I think it was like that raspy voice. I can't remember if it was from like something from SpongeBob or something along those lines. But it wasn't Roz from Monsters Inc., but it was sounding like,
what are they selling? They're selling chocolates.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking it was.
Sweet chocolate.
That's what I think you were trying to do. It sounded like that the whole time.
I think I was trying to do like this weird, like Leonardo DiCaprio from Wolf of Wall Street, New Jersey accent with a little bit of Ray Liotta, like just his charisma.
But it sounded like the sweet, sweet chocolate from SpongeBob.
You mean the old lady that can barely hear?
Yes.
Which one he is? Okay, let's go into the divisional weekend recap before
All
I
right.
get
So,
my head chopped.
oh, the Kansas City Chiefs defeated the Houston Texans 23-14. But a notable play in that game on a Patrick Mahomes slide with two Texans colliding into each other that ultimately set up an unnecessary roughness penalty that led to a touchdown at the end of the drive to put the Chiefs a little further ahead. But is that particular play going to be a causality or a reason for the NFL modifying or adapting or making some sort of change to the rules about quarterbacks and sliding during the offseason?
I think in a funny way, they should have like a demonstration video of how the new rule works and do it in like a doofus and do right kind of way. And the doofus would be Tua, and the do right would be any other quarterback that slides like a normal human being instead of just going head first.
Good
Just a
idea.
thought. Just a thought.
Sliding feet first. Bad idea. To attack him, I love.
It's just him like getting shot out of a cannon almost. Like choo!
Yeah.
And then at the end he starts throwing gang signs, you know?
Too far. Too far. But yes, I do believe that if the Trevor Lawrence hit was not already reason enough, Patrick Mahomes is probably going to be the reason why a rule will be named.
Wasn't the reason why they went more hard on the unnecessary roughness penalty was because of how Tom Brady was hit with the Chris Jones thing a while back, or is this like a whole different story?
Oh no, Trevor Lawrence got his bell rung on
Yeah.
a late slide that
And-
resulted in a Texans linebacker getting suspended 3 games.
And part of my thought on that was, would they just suspend him for 3 games as like the new rollout? But then I was thinking, well, in that sense, were the two guys that ended up knocking heads while trying to get Mahomes, wouldn't they both get suspended? Because they both did it to themselves in a sense, but also
Yeah, but they ran into each other. Mahomes barely got touched. Like, not even touched enough to not even to cause a flag. But I think there's either going to be something about quarterbacks and sliding, or something in regards of certain penalties can be reviewed. But yes, I do believe that quarterbacks have shown, and Mahomes has been a known culprit of this, and you're not going to deny it, of weaponizing late sliding and late hits out of bounds, of weaponizing it.
do you think it'd be the same description or the same definition of that when Mahomes got hit late going out of bounds against the Bengals in the championship game last year? Or
There's some, the weaponization, like weaponizing a 15-yard penalty and an automatic first down, or weaponizing your position. Yeah, I think I would have to see that hit again But if he's already out of bounds at that point, by the time the hit, it just all depends on how the momentum is slung.
I'm just
If
saying that
Mahomes
because
was already-
if he was using that as like as a bait tactic to get the person to do that, how far are you willing to go as far as if it's the quarterback or if it's strictly the defender going hard in the paint over a guy that's just baiting him? Like, where's the line drawn in the sand? Is what I'm curious about.
Oh, the quarterbacks are already heavily protected enough as it is, with all of the roughing the passer type things, where it's like you can't even have the momentum of your hand come down from trying to swat the ball and accidentally grazing the quarterback in the head or the helmet, or unintentionally, without having a flag thrown. Like you can't have that, or you can't have your momentum fall into a quarterback without a penalty occurring. You're trying to make a sack, your momentum kind of carries you a little too quickly, and you hit the quarterback a little bit harder than what you were hoping for. Like, there's got to be some degree of, yes, you want to do player safety, yes, you want to protect the quarterback, but there's a certain line where the quarterbacks will just intentionally try to weaponize it for leverage and try and pull gamesmanship by any means necessary. You can get away with that a little bit. I understand that.
Yeah.
But the late sliding is what can eventually cause major injuries to a quarterback. So yes, you got to restrict the quarterbacks in a certain regard. You got to restrict that. And there's too many quarterbacks right now that are trying to weaponize it.
All right, do we want to go to the next one?
Yep. The next one is my Commanders stunning the Detroit Lions 45-31 Saturday night. And the question here is, with being only one of 6 rookie quarterbacks to ever start a conference championship game, has Jaden Daniels had the best rookie season for a quarterback of all time? Even if he doesn't get to where no rookie quarterback has ever gone before.
I feel like he'd be like the next Patrick Mahomes if he keeps us up and keeps being consistent with it. As yes, Mahomes didn't really, or his rookie season was him on the bench talking with Alex Smith and then playing later in the season. But if Mahomes were to do what Jaden Daniels just did, I feel like we would have said that this is the second, or this isn't the first rodeo. But clearly, I think it helps that Jaden Daniels and the Commanders were able to just dominate against a Lions team that was playing too cute. I think the flashy plays kind of bit them, but they also had a inconsistent quarterback play. Jared Goff was, I believe, in like the concussion protocol for a tad bit, maybe.
And Luvu got away with one there. Luvu did get away with one.
And then Teddy Bridgewater, and then transition from him to Goff back and forth was probably a little jarring. But the one trick play they did where I think it was Jamison Williams or someone.
Yeah, it was JMO. Yep.
He threw the ball to another receiver, and that ended up getting intercepted. And it's just like, I felt like this was a microcosm of what happened last season, where they did some ballsy things too many times, like with the field goal attempts they could have had last year in the NFC Championship game against the Niners. Instead, it's a microcosm of they played with way too many mistakes on football on both offense and defense to be considered to go to the championship game. I don't think the Lions should have done as many trick plays like they had been doing, like flashy. Because to me, it just feels like if you were to play like NBA Street and just press the alley button a bunch of times just to watch the player like pass it to the other player and dunk it, whereas they get like instantly swatted out, so it doesn't matter. Rather than just playing it to win, rather than being flashy. Point being, to bring this all back to earth, Jaden Daniels, I think, could be the best rookie quarterback of all time. We just have to see what he does against the Eagles. I think the Commanders have a better shot, though, but uh, yeah. I think he would be one of the better rookie quarterbacks to have an amazing season. Like, better than Stroud, better than Brock Purdy, you would say. Like, man's a beast.
So with the top rookie quarterback seasons, yeah, you got of course, Kyler Murray in 2019, Dak Prescott in 2016, RG3, CJ Stroud. Jay Daniels currently, they claim he sits at number 4 as of November 4th since 2010. But right now, Jaden Daniels has pretty much shown that he has done it. But the late Stuart Scott has a great phrase to describe Jaden Daniels. This man is cool as the other side of the pillow. There has not been a moment that has felt too big for Jaden Daniels. He, on the doink, he was just super calm. There's just a sense of the even keel that the biggest word to describe it is just, it's unflappable.
Yeah, and guess who else has a very common, cool emotion to themselves that is kind of similar to what Jaden Daniels possesses? It would be Patrick Mahomes.
I was going to say Joe Burrow, but
Well,
I don't think Joe
Joe.
Burrow gets panicked. I don't think Burrow gets panicky either.
Well, I don't take it as seriously because Joe Burrow has that Macaulay Culkin vibe to him. So
Because the guy looks like Kevin McAllister doesn't mean that he's over here with his both hands out and his mouth open like as if he's scared. Looking like the Home Alone pose. No. But I've seen times where Mahomes has tried to do a lot. I mean, there were 2 touchdown passes in both the Chiefs game and the Lions game where quarterbacks were making completions while falling down. But that's beside the point. I think Jaden Daniels is having a top rookie season. One of only 6 to start a conference championship. Would become the first ever to start a Super Bowl with a victory over Philadelphia. And the Commanders are just playing like a team on fire right now. They are the hottest and scariest team in remaining in the playoffs. Bar none. And with that said, Jaden Daniels is going to head to Lincoln Financial Field, get tested, but he basically was playing and won a Heisman Trophy in the NFL Lite of the SEC. Yes, I said it. Southeastern Conference college football is basically NFL Lite.
Responsibly.
This is not a beer. But the next game we have is the Eagles defeating the Rams 28-22. And yes, Quinion Mitchell got hurt. Jalen Hurts is not 100%. But do the Eagles have defense? Does the Eagles defense have enough gas left in the tank to keep up with this high-octane Commanders offense?
I think the Eagles might have a little bit of gas left, but I think their cornerback room is going to be a little constrained because I believe didn't C.J. Gardner Johnson get hurt. So let's look.
No, Quinion Mitchell I know is hurt, and that's one of the rookie corners. But of course, that could pretty decently get covered by Cooper DeJean. C.J. Gardner Johnson's a safety.
When I just searched Eagles.com, I got the Eagles band instead of the Philadelphia Eagles. The Moreno. Okay. Because I was looking to see where the injury report was. And
yeah, of which you could just enter that website, check it out anytime, but unlike the Hotel California, you could never, like the Hotel California, you could never leave.
Just a lovely place. Boom, 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 yeah. Yeah, I think it was C.J. Gardner Johnson or somebody that was a big pivotal player.
Yeah, Quinion Mitchell's that one corner there. They still have Darius Slay. Yeah, Quinion Mitchell's the rookie that was starting. I think the fun is going to be how disruptive Jalen Carter's going to be, because that's going to be a real test for Trent Scott, who is replacing Cosme, who we just found out tore his ACL on that play where he got bent back.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the Eagles have a good shot to try to stop the Commanders, but the Commanders beat them in their last time coming through, right? Again, or no, didn't the Eagles beat them at Link?
Eagles beat them the two matchups were won by the home team.
So the Eagles won at home at Lincoln Financial against the Commanders.
The Eagles won at the Link, and the Commanders won at Northwest. So, but granted that the Eagles did play the Commanders on a short week at the Link. A short week at the Link. So Washington now will travel to the road with practically a full week of rest heading into that matchup. And last but not least, for the teams that won, the Bills defeating the Ravens 27-25. And the question here becomes, have the Bills shown enough throughout the season to be able to steal one from the Chiefs in Arrowhead with a trip to the Super Bowl on the line?
3 words, Buffalo Bills. Bring it on. Show us that you can actually beat us in a goddamn playoff game. We did it to you in the AFC Championship game of 2020. I believe it was 2020. We did it to you in the divisional the year after that, and then the year after that, we beat you again in the divisional, and then we beat the team that you beat barely because they couldn't execute a 2-point conversion properly in the AFC Championship game. Oh yeah, that happened. Yeah. Talk to me when you've actually beat us, Bills.
I've got 3 words for this situation. Yes, they have.
In the regular season.
They haven't. Hold up. Hear me out.
That was my Seth Rogen laugh there.
Yeah, hear me out. Yes, the Bills have already done it once before. Granted, this game was at home for them. The Bills have gotten better at being effective on both aspects of offense, running and passing, especially with Stephon Diggs no longer there. Meaning that Josh Allen has a different spread of receivers that he can get to.
The long lost brother, Deshaun Diggs, coming to an NFL team near you. No, I'm just kidding.
I meant to say Stephon Diggs.
I know, I just thought it was funny.
But James Cook running the ball effectively. I think the run is going to be the key to getting and stumping. Because Joe Mixon was running the ball effectively against them. CJ Stroud being able to escape the pass rush and do some things, even though Stroud doesn't run often. Stroud showed that he had a little bit of an ability to do so. I think the Bills they've shown that they're capable. And it's just a matter of they've shown that they can do it as far as get a win against the Chiefs. Now the real test is going to be to get it at Arrowhead. Cincinnati Bengals fans like to call it Burrowhead.
Burrowhead my ass. Bunch of jabronis over there, just like the Texans are now, with their angry Twitter hands. All right, let's get to the color commentary.
Speaking of the Texans, is that even though they finished the season at the exact same place they got to the previous year, is this season ultimately a sign of net improvement?
Defensively, yes. Offensively, their luck has kind of not gone their way. So, as far as wide receiver help, you had Nico Collins out for a little bit of like the beginning of the season with, I believe, like a knee injury or leg injury of some sort. Hamstring.
I think his was a hamstring. Yep.
So with Nico Collins being out, you had Tank Dell and then newly acquired Stephon Diggs and probably another guy that I'm missing. But with also Joe Mixon also being added to the bunch on running back because they traded for him with the Bengals because the Bengals wanted to not pay Joe Mixon his cash money, so...
Oh, but that's because they had Pied Pipers to pay with Jamar Chase, who's going to command a lot more money than what Joe Mixon was going to.
Yeah. I think they showed signs of improvement near the end of the year, but it was kind of apparent that Stroud was having a sophomore slump, but it helped that he had more talent around him, which is what I was hoping they would do after last season, knowing what they know then and what to add now. I think they did show some good signs of improvement. It just sucked that two of their best receivers, besides Nico Collins, got hurt. One being a gruesome injury with Tank Dell. Stephon Diggs blew out his ACL, but that's another thing for another time. But yeah, they had a really good year. They built a lot more on their defense. Will Anderson Jr. being drafted with the same time with CJ Stroud really helps with the development there for both of them. You had Danielle Hunter that they got in free agency, and that really paid dividends. He was one of the people that I believe sacked Mahomes in the divisional game, but he also did that in the regular season too. Like, he's a dual threat with Will Anderson, and those two are going to be dangerous in the coming years. And if the Texans add more pass rush, they could be they could be intense. They could be just insane.
I think you get a durable receiver. You get a durable receiver. Doesn't necessarily have to be a first round pick. No, because you can spend on an offensive lineman as well. But I think that the Texans have shown a sign of net improvement.
I think you draft an offensive lineman, like get a guard or like a center or something like that, and then work them through.
Yeah, but
they have
you
Laramie
also-
Tunsil.
Yeah, Laramie Tunsil's the left tackle. But yeah, you get a guard in free agency. You draft a receiver. You don't necessarily have to overspend for it. Yeah, just continue to build off of the core. The Texans are young. The Texans are generally a young team, and they are playing well above expectation. And D'Amico Ryans is steadily getting better at this head coaching thing each and every game that he's had at the playoff level.
I think
I
he's
think
the
they're
right
eventually
coach.
Oh, he is the right coach for that system. The Texans have nailed it.
The one thing they need to improve, though, besides just both sides of the field, is their mentality, though, too, which I'll get into later. But
you get that from time to time. Just it depends on the players that you got for it. But I know that you're probably going to talk about that more when we get to, more than likely, the Rams or even the Lions here.
All right.
But the question now for the Lions. Ben Johnson has now taken the job with the Bears. Aaron Glenn is now preparing to field interviews, and Dan Campbell may lose both of his coordinators. But the question more so now is the window starting to show signs of closing for the Detroit Lions?
My sarcastic response to that is, if you keep acting cute or doing dumb shit like you have been doing two times in the span of 2 years, you're going to show signs of things going to an end. You got to evolve in this market, or you just gotta be smarter, because clearly the Lions have not done the smart thing, which was playing smart football. They decided to just let the cat out of the bag when it came to their fancy plays that one got intercepted from. You gotta, in the playoffs, you gotta play almost mistake-free football in order to win those games, or at least guarantee yourself a win. You gotta make the field goals. Last year they didn't go for the extra point, or not. They didn't go for the extra points. They didn't go for the field goals because they wanted to go for it on fourth down. There's only so many. There's only. It's hard to really break bad habits like what Dan Campbell has done, as far as being all ballsy, going all balls to the wall, being flashy. Like, at some point, you gotta uh, just go with the yin and yang and not go too hard in the paint. There's a reason why a lot of teams don't really do a lot of those flashy plays. And with the Chiefs, it's more of just chemistry and creativeness, and also knowing or realizing when and where you should do those flashy plays.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. The Lions are creative. Who else would randomly decide to throw in a hook and ladder to an offensive lineman? Like coming up with straight up hook and ladders that are effective.
I mean, the Chiefs have done it.
Yeah. I mean, granted that yeah, Ben Johnson has pulled stuff from this. But there's a time and a place for everything to be used.
There's a reason why Patrick Mahomes only did the behind the back pass during the preseason. He doesn't want to pull that shit and have it go the wrong way and then look like a dumbass at the end of it. Like, do they? I think the Lions also had a really odd year with defense, losing Aiden Hutchinson, but I don't know if that would have really helped them down the line in the playoffs. Maybe a little bit more, maybe about 20% more than what happened in this game against the Commanders, but I think they just need to be more disciplined when it comes to uh, the right place at the right time mentality, like we're talking about with like the plays and thought process.
Yeah. I think that you're going to see some changes, but it's all in a matter of how Dan Campbell, not Dan Quinn, is able to make the adjustments needed. It is ultimately going to come down to adjustments and being able to adapt to the changes that occur. You're now going to lose likely both of your coordinators. So it's ultimately going to come down to who's going to come in and fill the voids. And Campbell's got guys.
I think you draft a quarterback, like a rookie quarterback, like someone that isn't like super well known, but someone that you could have Jared Goff mentor for a little bit and help out for future roles.
Hendon Hooker. They have Hendon Hooker.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, they've got a backup, and they even have Teddy Bridgewater, even though it was very, very temporary. So I mean, there's options, but from there, ultimately, I think that some adversity is coming to the Detroit Lions window. But yeah, there's sometimes you got to know to draw the line between being fundamentally sound and just straight up flexing.
Yeah.
Like you can't flex just simply to flex.
Yeah.
Or else you're just trying to show out for a team that is against a team that is a little more like you and not afraid to show up. Which was exactly what the Lions tried to do to the Commanders.
Yeah.
But I do think that they've got the pieces to go back. They got the pieces to get back there. It's just a matter of now that you're getting back there, what do you really need to do to actually stay there and make this more sustained for a longer period of time?
Mentality,
That's
focused,
what the Lions, I think, are at.
headstrong. But yeah. Do we want to go to
The
the next
next
one?
one here, yep, the next one is the Rams. How do the Rams handle the uncertainty regarding the futures of Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp?
All right. I'm going to go over the contracts really quick. So, if you're a GM for the Los Angeles Rams, your base. So, for Matthew Stafford's contract for 2025, his base salary is 23 million. His signing bonus is 12 million. His restructure was 4 million. Um, but the main thing that you probably want to ask is what's his cap hit? What is his dead cap? Well, his cap hit for next year is 49 million, and the one for last year was 46 million. His dead cap in 2024 was a whopping 95 million dollars. But in 2025, his dead cap would be half of that essentially at 49.3 million. I think I think he keeps playing. He plays through that because number one, it's cheaper for the Rams for him to play rather than the dead cap because like you're only really losing 300 grand with dead cap. So you might as well play him like a few more years and see what you can get out of him. You have the talent there. It's just more of health, and also your defense is fairly new and being rebuilt from the ground up because Aaron Donald got retired and had all this money. And then it doesn't help that you overspent on Cooper Cup. You paid the California tax, but also gave him a little bit higher salary than Tyreek Hill at the same time when Tyreek Hill was looking for a higher deal somewhere else in Miami. And then like a week later, it was like, boop, Cooper Cup is the highest paid wide receiver that year. And now with Cooper Cup in 2025, you have a cap hit of 30 million estimated. It's 29.7 on Spot Track, and then his dead cap is 22.2 million. But his cap hit of 2024 is about 30 million again, same number as 2025, but your dead cap is 52 million for 2024 if you let him go. Like just released him, didn't try to get a trade for him or anything. But yeah, 2025 the dead cap is significantly decreased to about 30 million, but your cap hit is 30 million, but you're only really gaining about 7 million in if you dead cap it. And then yeah, I don't know, as far as the Rams go, I think they probably try to be more team friendly and also try to evolve the squad, maybe look for higher end talent as far as like undrafted free agents, or look at the draft, or um, look at some unknowns that could become golden or diamonds in the rough. It's it's just at this point you just gotta sift through, filter through, find ways to save. Anyway, sorry, Spence, that was a long rant.
Yeah. And I think the Rams ultimately, Matthew Stafford could retire. Get a quarterback in place. It may be Stetson Bennett. It may not be Stetson Bennett.
I think Stetson Bennett has pretty much forgoed his football career. Let's be honest.
At this point. Yeah. But Cooper Kupp, I mean, it's all depending on what you really want to do and what you're willing to afford to be able to let go of cap space to make things happen. That's what it ultimately boils down to. And last but not least, the Ravens. And the question here is, has Lamar Jackson shown even more that even more than before, that playoff football and regular season football are not the same. I'm sure you and I are both thinking the exact same answer to this.
Is Lamar Jackson? I think he has his spurts. Lamar Jackson, as far as a quarterback, he has some spurts. I don't know if it's the coaching with John Harbaugh that makes it to where the decision making is a bit shaky when it comes to signing players like Derrick Henry for a good amount of money and then barely frickin' using them. Like, Derrick Henry's not Von Miller. And yet, the Bills use Von Miller in just certain situations that they need him because he's getting older and they don't want to, like, overuse him and have him deal with another torn ACL like he had before. With Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, I feel like the whole season it's been mainly the Lamar show rather than really Derrick Henry. Like there were times in different games where Derrick Henry had a bigger presence because he was doing more things and just showing why they signed him. But then there were times where it's like, why did you give it to Mark Andrews out of anyone else? Like you could have just ran Derrick Henry through and just trusted in him, and then just kind of used Mark Andrews as like the blocking tight end / guy that would be like the last resort.
If you're talking the 2-point conversion, Mark Andrews was wide open. He was wide open on the play. But here was the thing that the Bills did. The Bills made Lamar Jackson pass the football. Get into drop back situations, pass the football. And the Bills were not as and the Ravens were not as effective in doing that. But as far as being able to run the football, especially with Lamar, running quarterbacks have not had as great effectiveness in postseason. One person can't do it all. But what does this remind me of? James Harden. Yes, I'm using an NBA player in an NFL type scenario. But James Harden's isolation style basketball does not work as effectively in playoff basketball. So yes, Lamar Jackson in this case as a running quarterback instead of a quarterback who can run makes this a lot more difficult. And yes, look, this shows even more that the two styles of play between what the Ravens will do during the regular season and what they need to do in playoff football, because it's a whole different animal, it's showing that the two different tiers of football are not the same. You gotta have something a little bit different than what Lamar Jackson has in order to be an effective quarterback. Lamar Jackson doesn't have the arm strength to be able to do a lot of the over-the-top throwing. Lamar Jackson's got wheels, and the escapability is through the roof. But the problem is that if you make Lamar Jackson throw the ball, he's going to make mistakes. And those mistakes, whether they be an overthrow to Taylor Rapp for an interception, a strip sack, throwing a ball to Mark Andrews, and as he's turning away, he loses the football because it gets punched out. There's different ways that Lamar Jackson, yes, has shot himself in the foot, but it's also more ways that Lamar Jackson has shown that this style of football is not the same. Playoff football is a whole different animal. And that's that. And now for our next segment, we move on to the film room. As I, Ruckus the Menace, have cracked 300 points.
Look at you.
And the run on the brink.
Ooh, dog.
As Ohio State is up by 8.
I was about to say
Notre
that
Dame.
score is getting closer and closer because earlier it was looking pretty ugly for the Golden Domers.
Oh, it was looking grim, but Ohio State's in the red zone. They got to avoid a turnover for Notre Dame to actually have a legitimate fight back. Notre Dame's got to force a turnover somewhere in this. But Notre Dame has stayed at least right in it. And actually, unless Ohio State scores a point, Notre Dame, I think, technically covered the spread. I think the spread was more like 9. But we may be losing that, but we've got a few NFL games remaining. For 7 points, Commanders, Eagles.
I have to go with my partner in crime here and say that the Commanders are going to beat the Eagles, but I just don't know about how much. But I feel like the Commanders just have the momentum over the Eagles. Even if it's at the link, it'd be kind of cool if the Chiefs also win to go to the Super Bowl, and it would be like the Commander-in-Chief kind of like thing. I was thinking of this like offhand like a few minutes ago, but I was like, ooh, it'd be kind of cool if it was like Commander-in-Chief Super Bowl, or I don't know.
I also am taking the Commanders here, as they are setting themselves up to be a Super Bowl team. Who would have thunk that a 4-13 team a year ago would go and win 12 games, eventually make their way to being within the doorstep of a Super Bowl? I think they're going to get it. It's almost like a team of destiny and riding a hot hand.
It also helps that you have an offensive line that doesn't suck. You're welcome, by the way. Parting gift from the Chiefs.
I mean, Andrew Wiley, yeah. But Cosme got better.
Nick Allegretti, I'm sorry. Homeboy from...
I didn't realize Allegretti was also a Chief.
Yeah, he was the backup guard for the most part and played hurt during Super Bowl 58. I'm surprised that he started playing for the Commanders as soon as he did.
Yeah,
He's
I knew
a dog.
Wiley. Yeah, I knew Wiley was going to be good. And now we got Trent Scott probably playing right guard. So that's going to be interesting. But the next game is also for 7 points. Bills, Chiefs.
I hate you. I am picking the Chiefs because I believe, and we have never lost to the Bills at Arrowhead in the playoffs. Bring it on, baby. Let's go, Kansas City.
I am taking the Buffalo Bills here.
Boo! Boo!
I think the Bills can do it.
Boo! Boo! I don't know if you can hear me booing, but boo!
Yeah, I'm pretty serious about this. I think the Bills can do it. And we are going to be partying again like it's 1992 for a Super Bowl. Because the last time Washington won a Super Bowl, they beat Buffalo. So that's where my head's at with this one.
Boo.
And now we will move on to our stud and dud of the week.
Yay. Alright, you want me to go first?
Yep.
Alright, so my stud for this week is Jason Kelsey's daughters, his little girls, creating a mascot for They Call It Late Night, an ESPN show. And they were talking about how all teams have mascots, and they shouted out Kylie Kelsey for wearing the green owl or golden owl mascot for their, I believe, elementary school whenever she was doing that. But what's really important here is that Jason Kelsey's little kiddos created a mascot where they all kind of congregated together and drew different parts of the body, the face, the arms, and whatnot. But not only that, they got to choose the name of what the mascot was named, and the name of it was Dragon McFart Butt Butt. And they go all out by actually getting someone to wear the mascot uniform and have a whole storyline dedicated to Dragon McFart Butt Butt. If you want to know the episode that this goes on, it's episode 3 of They Call It Late Night. You're welcome. You'll thank me later.
Yeah, I watched the clip on that one, and oh my god, like even I was dying with that one because that one was. You would have thought it was legitimately like it was legitimately funny. They actually were able to make the drawings work.
And then my dud for this week is the hype with the Detroit Lions. And you heard me earlier talking about how they were playing too cute. I think them being Super Bowl favorites is now being flushed down the toilet as we speak. Sorry, Detroit Lions fans, not sorry. Anyways, Spennis, go ahead.
I'm going to start with my dud, as it was Texas special teamer Chris Boyd for getting a bit too excited to force a fumble that wasn't even recovered by his own team. Got an unsportsmanlike conduct for yeeting his helmet off, and also and it wasn't by ill intent, for pushing his coach on the sideline. He got a little too hype for something that wasn't even worth getting hype about. But he just got a little bit too excited. But my stud for this week is a Commanders rookie cornerback, Mike Sanderstill. He has stepped up ever since we drafted him, because we thought, oh, he's going to be a slot corner. He's going to be our third corner. Emmanuel Forbes was too much like burnt toast, and we got rid of him. St. Juste is over on the other side. We traded for Marshawn Lattimore. Sanderstill has had to step up and be the number 2 corner and not play the slot as often. What's been the reward for that? He picked off Jared Goff twice. And Quan Martin got the other one. But yes, Mike Sanderstill picked off Jared Goff twice, or actually 2 interceptions. I think actually the second one might have been the JMO one, when you really come to think of it. Because Goff threw 3 picks. the interception touchdown was Quan Martin. This interception was Sanderstill. Picked off Goff in the first half to end the one drive, and then he intercepted the Jamison Williams pass. So he picked off. Yeah, so the Commanders had 4 interceptions total. And the last pick was done by Jeremy Chin. But Sanderstill with 2 picks in that game. One on Goff and one on Jamison Williams in the 45-31 victory over the Lions, and advancing us to the conference championship. Ruckus, take us out.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to the Ruckus and The Menace Sports Podcast, episode number 132. I am Ruckus, always causing a ruckus.
I am Ruckus the Menace.
We'll talk to y'all later. Follow us on Twitter and whatnot. We'll see y'all later. Deuces.
Deuces. Go Commanders.